Hey everybody, my name is Brian Nichols. Welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk about some hot topics. And to me, the hot topics might be a week late, but there's two fights that were announced last week that I'm super hyped for, and I wanted to make a quick video kind of going over all the specifics before the fight comes about. The two fights I'm talking about are Ryan Hall versus Ricardo Lamas, and Bryce Mitchell versus Charles Rosa. So those were both announced last week. Let's look at the... I have the Tapology card here up on Tapology. And both fights were actually announced on the UFC ESPN Plus 32 Hermansson versus Weidman card, which is in Oklahoma, which I'm thinking about going to because... I live in Kansas City, so I looked. I want to say it was like a 6-hour drive. I forget how far away it was, but I don't know. The card's starting to look stacked. Actually, they just announced another fight. Well, let me take that back. The UFC didn't fully announce it, like they didn't make it official, but supposedly Diego Ferreira and Drew Dober both accepted a fight verbally, but it's not official, I guess. I don't know why it's here. Because I haven't seen the UFC announce it yet, but that's a damn good fight on this card too. So, we got Weidman and Jack Hermansson. See how that goes. I think Weidman is going back to middleweight. Claudia Gadelha is getting another shot after her fight fell through recently. Andrei Arlovski's got on the card. And then, of course, like I mentioned, Ryan Hall, Ricardo Lamas, possibly Diego Ferreira and Drew Dober. And, of course, Bryce Mitchell and Charles Rosa. So let's talk about Ryan Hall first. So if you guys didn't notice, I don't think it was last week. I think it was the week before. Ryan Hall was all about going out in the media and calling out some of these fighters that I guess weren't accepting fights. He was like, at first he wasn't naming names, and then he started naming names. And then a couple days later, or like a week later, bam, fight was announced for Ryan Hall versus Ricardo Lamas. Maybe finally they just kept going down the list, and Ricardo Lamas answered the phone call. And yeah, let's talk a little bit about Ryan Hall. So as you can see, his record is 8-1. His nickname's the Wizard, and he's 35 years old, which only being 8-1 and he's 35. Granted, from the fights I've seen of Ryan's in the UFC, I haven't seen his fights before the UFC because I was introduced to him in the Ultimate Fighter Season 2 because that's where I first knew of him and learned about him, and that's one of the things. I know a lot of people like to hate on the Ultimate Fighter, but that's it. It's not only the lower promotions, like I say lower, the less known promotions, I guess, like Invicta, LFA. Like obviously the hardcores know these promotions, but a lot of the people that don't watch MMA like balls deep, like some of us do, they don't know about these smaller promotions. And it's nice to keep tabs on these lower promotions, because you get to learn about these up and comers. Sorry, I'm being all fidgety here. Oh yeah, quick thing. Look at this. My Dunder Mifflin shirt, or sweatshirt, excuse me. Great show. And that's another reason why I like the Ultimate Fighter. Granted, I know they're doing a Contender Series now, but supposedly the Ultimate Fighter is going to come back, I assume, on ESPN Plus. I don't know. Either way. So yeah, from what I've seen of Ryan Hall's fights, he doesn't take a lot of damage in his fights. And if what I've seen there is the same as his historical fights, I feel like he hasn't taken that much damage in his career, only having 9 fights, only losing once, which I think was the very first fight. Yeah, Eddie 5e. And since then, he's then been on an 8-win streak. They don't count the exhibition bouts on the record. That's on the Ultimate Fighter. But then if you're not sure, or if you're unsure, something happened with the opponent that was supposed to fight Artem Lobov, and Ryan Hall stepped in. I think it was visa issues, if I remember correctly. And does it say it here? It doesn't. But yeah, Ryan Hall won, and he won the Ultimate Fighters after beating Artem Lobov. So since then, he's just been winning in every. So in the UFC, he is 1, 2, 3, 4-0 at the moment. So not bad. I mean, he's beaten Artem Lobov, Gray Maynard, BJ Penn, Darren Elkins. Darren Elkins obviously is one of the ones I would think out of Gray Maynard and BJ Penn. As of right now, Darren Elkins the best. And then now here comes Ricardo Lamas. And I think if Ryan Hall, he's ranked number 13 in the UFC featherweight division. I looked, and Ricardo isn't ranked at all. And I want to say he was ranked back in the day, but he's not ranked anymore, which kind of surprised me. But looking at when we talk about Lamas, we'll talk about maybe another reason why he's not ranked. But what else do I have here? So 35, I don't think he's taking that much damage, so he's probably going to be okay. But, how many more fights could he get in his professional career being at 35? If we look here, how many fights does he do average? So here's one fight 2019, one fight in 2018, no fights in 2017. 2016, he had one fight. 2015, he went through the Ultimate Fighter. So basically one fight a year, not including 2017. So if that's the case, I mean, is he going to go to 40? That means he'd only have what? Let's see. If it's 2020, he's 35, so 5 more fights. So 2025, so plus 5. Even if he wins those, he could be 13-1. I mean, if the past is, is something to follow, I feel like if Ryan Hall only wants to, obviously, maybe, I don't know if he wants to become champion. I don't know if I've ever heard him say he wants to win the title. I'm assuming he wants to move up in the rankings because that's, I think, one of the things he was trying to talk about recently. Was trying to call out some of the fighters that are above him ranked, but none of them, I guess, would accept. So he had to take a fighter that's unranked because Ryan Hall is ranked 13, whereas Ricardo Lamas isn't ranked at all. So kind of sucks for Ryan Hall because if he wants to move up, he's got to get those fights above him. But I can kind of see why some of the fighters don't want to accept the fight against him because he's such an enigma, and that's why I think it's super exciting to watch him fight. So yeah, his last fight being in 2019. This will happen in January, February, March, April, May. So just a little under a year since his last fight. And he's on an 8-fight win streak. Again, not counting the exhibition bout in the Ultimate Fighter. But yeah, that's one of the things I like about Ryan Hall, and I think that's why so many people are hyped about him. His style, it's just so weird how he has that grappling 50-50 position down with the legs. It's like you don't want to go to the ground with him. And then he started doing this change-up when he fought Gray Maynard where he had this kicking game out of nowhere. And it's like you want to go to the ground, but you don't want to stand up because you're just getting kicked all the time, and he just keeps his distance so well. It's so weird. And I feel like for Ricardo to win this, he's just got to get down and dirty and just don't let Ryan Hall play his game. Like, take him out of his element, basically. But what's crazy is every fight I've seen Ryan Hall just add some... It's almost like a lot of fighters like to be super well-rounded, and I'm of course Ryan Hall is well-rounded as well. I'm sure, of course, he's working on a lot of holes in his game, but I feel like when he works on a tool to use, he works on that tool so much that just like let's say with that Gray Maynard fight, he had such a great kicking game, and then let's say this upcoming fight with Ricardo Lamas, all of a sudden he has like takedown, like double legs out of nowhere, like just beastly double leg takedowns. I don't think that'll be the case. I highly doubt that's the case. I don't know anything, but it's just like he gets one tool and he like perfects it and then just blows through it in the fight. And it's like the other fighter doesn't know that it's coming. Maybe it's because they don't have as much tape. I just feel like Ryan Hall learns really quickly, as well as tries to perfect something before his next upcoming bout. So that only benefits him. But yeah, that's my other interest is what drives Ryan Hall. Like, if he wants to get that title, he needs to be taking fights more often if he wants to get there before he's 40 and be able to defend it. But let's see, what else other notes that I have. Obviously, he trains up in Canada with TriStar under Farasa Hobby, so obviously that's really good. Yeah, I think that's the main things I have here. Oh, other interesting tidbit. They UFC just recently announced Jose Aldo would be fighting for the title against Henry Cejudo. And if you look at the rankings, which I have right here, Henry Cejudo being obviously champion, look at where that's bantamweight. Hold on. Oh, you know what? They still have him under... Yep. Where is Jose Aldo even? Oh, he is ranked. Okay. I was looking at the rankings, and I saw Jose Aldo down here. I was like, 11? I was like, he's number 11? He's fighting for the title? But they have him up as... That's a whole different conversation. The whole ranking system is just completely broken, but they have Jose Aldo as number 11. but Ryan Hall's 13. So I was like, he's only 2 behind Jose, so he can get a shot soon. But yeah, so he's ranked 13. But yeah, and that was the other thing is like, I know most fighters that are usually like really working up through the rankings, usually they have to go through some of the older names, kind of like how he went through BJ Penn and Gray Maynard. But he had that win against Darren Elkins, which is good as well. And it's like, you know, I feel like Ricardo Lamas could be another name to add to that list of, I want to say legends, but known fighters that have a name in the sport. So let's go over to Ricardo Lamas. The Bully, his current record 19-8, and he's 37 years old, so 2 years older than Ryan Hall. He's definitely got more miles on him, and he comes from Chicago, Illinois. His last fight was 06-08 of 2019, so that'd be just a month under a year, so about the same time frame between Ryan Hall and Ricardo Lamas. But the interesting thing here is the record. Look at these last couple fights for Ricardo Lamas. He's not been having a great record here with multiple losses in a row. So just in his last 4 fights, he's 1-3, which really sucks because Ricardo Lamas is really fun to watch. He's one of those fighters where, like, if he goes to another promotion, it's going to suck because he's really fun to watch. But just recently, he's only beaten Darren Elkins, which Ryan Hall just beat. So I guess it kind of makes sense to put them together. But yeah, Ricardo lost to Calvin Kattar, Mirsad Bektic, Josh Emmett, which that Josh Emmett one was insane. Yeah, it's before that he fought Jason Knight, and that's the other thing. Look at his fights as well. Almost again similar to Ryan Hall. He fought once 2019, fought once 2018, another one 2018, 2017. So he had 2 fights 2017. 2 fights 2018, 1 in 2019. The problem is it's loss, win, loss, and then a couple, of course, canceled bouts. Oh, he's supposed to fight Korean Zombie at one point. But that's the unfortunate thing is his record as of late hasn't been great. So this could be a great if Ricardo Lamas can put a good show against Ryan Hall. Maybe this would be another good way. Like he could be coming back. But the thing is, Ricardo Lamas being 37, how much more is he going to really change his game after having 27 fights in MMA? I don't know. It's going to be an interesting fight. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing what Ryan Hall can do now after another year off, what he's perfected and is going to bring into the cage, and how his game plan is going to go. And then on the flip side, I'm interested in seeing Ricardo Lamas. Like, how is he going to do? Is he going to be able to figure out what he needs to do to either outpoint Ryan Hall or take it to him and not let Ryan Hall implement his own game plan? So super excited for that fight. Let's talk about the other fight, which again is Bryce Mitchell versus Charles Rosa. So again, that one was officially announced last week as well. So here we have Bryce Mitchell, aka Thug Nasty, currently 12-0 in his MMA record. He comes from Arkansas. If you don't know by now, he is the gentleman after all of his fights screams into the mic at Reebok asking for those damn camo shorts. It's always funny when he does that. The dude's only 25 years old. He's 12-0. So 10 years younger than Ryan Hall, and he's got, what, if he's 8-1, so 9 fights. So he's got already 3 more fights than Ryan Hall. So Bryce Mitchell out here, beasting it up. So Bryce came through the Ultimate Fighter season 27, whereas, again, Ryan Hall was on, I think, 22, so 5 seasons later. But yeah, he's undefeated from Arkansas. What other notes do I have here? He's 3-0 currently in the UFC. Now, again, going on the Ultimate Fighter, he did lose one of his exhibition bouts, the Ultimate Fighter, but he did get a shot in the Ultimate Fighter finale, and he beat Tyler Diamond, which everybody was hyped about Tyler Diamond in the Ultimate Fighter 27 season. And then Tyler, I think, lost one of his exhibition bouts, so they put Tyler and Bryce Mitchell together, and Bryce Mitchell took it to him. And since then, yeah, got 2 more fights, and if you see that right there, he was the guy that got the second ever twister finish in the UFC behind Chan Sung Jun, obviously, aka Korean Zombie. So what a badass, man. And what's nice about looking at Bryce Mitchell's record, look at this. Just there's no canceled bouts. I'm sure there might be some switch up of fighters in between, but it's just like win. There's no like canceled bouts and things like that. It just looks like a clean record. Yeah, so Bryce Mitchell, dude, his fights are so fun to watch. The dude goes out there and scraps. Like, almost a fighter's fighter kind of person. Like, every time I see his name listed to fight, I'm fucking watching the fight. I don't care. Like, super excited to watch him fight. And then Charles Rosa is who he's going against. Some things I have noted here of Charles Rosa, of course, his pro MMA record here is 12-3. Nicknamed Boston Strong. He's from Massachusetts, which makes sense. Looks like he trains with American Top Team. And he's currently 33 years old. And currently his record, and this is what I'm talking about, where there's a bunch of canceled bouts and losses. It's kind of all over the place for Charles, unfortunately. I looked, and currently in the UFC, he has 6 fights altogether. He's 3-3. So he's got that. Is that called 0.5 record or 1 record? Where he's a 1-3 and lost 3, and so unfortunately, it's just loss win, loss win, loss win. So he's on a 1-fight win streak, but he's lost to Dennis Seaver, Yair Rodriguez, and Shane Burgos. Yair and Shane, obviously tough fighters. Back when he fought Dennis Seaver, that was 2014, so that was 6 years ago. I mean, the thing is, at the time, Charles had 9 fights and Dennis Seaver had 30. So I guess that could make sense experience-wise why I'd lose to Dennis Seaver. But on the flip side of that, he's beaten Sean Soriano, Kyle Bochniak, and Manny Bermudez. And I couldn't honestly remember the fight between Charles Rosa and Manny Bermudez, so I actually went on Fightpass and rewatched that since it said it was only round 1. And I don't know, it was weird. Like, Manny took Charles down and was in his guard, just kind of ground and pounding him. And Charles kept putting his legs up, almost looking like he was going for either an armbar or a triangle. And he kind of just kept having his legs up in the air, like he was trying to trap the arm a little bit. But man would get it out and just kind of keep ground pounding him. And then sooner or later, just with his legs up in the air, just caught Manny. And it was weird because on the broadcast, I think it was Dominic Cruz and Daniel Cormier kept talking about the credentials of Manny, of how great a grappler he is. And it's like, oh, minute later, never mind. He audibly tapped to the armbar from Charles Rosa. So I don't know. I don't want to say that was super impressive to me, only because number one, Manny missed weight. Number two, even though Manny supposedly was really good at grappling, Charles just had his legs up the whole time and then just finally caught him. It seemed odd. And then on top of that, after that fight, Manny got cut. So it's not like Charles is beating a really good dude that's on a crazy streak. The dude got cut. He didn't make weight. It just didn't look all that great. But Charles looks like a beast in some of his fights. And so that fight was in 2019 in October. So somewhat quick-ish turnaround compared to his other fights. I mean, his last fight before 2019 was 2017, a little less than halfway, so a year and a half. And then before that, 2016, 2015, 2014. So again, almost a fight almost every year. He skipped down in 2018. He's had some, it looks like he had a neck injury back in 2018, and then he had his fight in 2019 against Manny. Won that, and then now here he is fighting Bryce Mitchell. So I don't know. I'm super excited for that fight too. Just I'm hyped on Bryce Mitchell, dude. The dude's so good, and I think Charles Rosa is a good step up for Bryce. But yeah, I think that's all I had for these two fights. Again, this Oklahoma City fight, card is looking pretty stacked. So I might go to it. I don't know, because usually I try to go to at least one UFC event each year. I haven't gone to any yet. And so I've been telling the wife, I'm like, I think this might be the one, since we're in Kansas City. Oklahoma City's kind of not too far. And but then I got thinking, I want to see. I'm a big fan of the style of, who isn't, of Justin Gaethje. And I want to see. I was actually supposed to see Gaethje fight in World Series of Fighting when they were still World Series of Fighting here in Kansas City. And I forget who Gaethje was supposed to fight, but it was the day before. And the challenger had to pull out because Gaethje was the champ. And so Gaethje was there waiting and everything, and the fighter had to pull out. I forget why, the challenger. And so Gaethje actually, because I still went to the event, of course, and Gaethje was actually walking around the crowd and literally just sitting with fans and talking to them. He's in a big-ass suit, or a nice-ass suit, just literally sitting in the crowd talking to people. It was like a fucking gymnasium. But it was super cool, and I wanted to see Gaethje fight in person, and so that's my goal still. And I know Gaethje said he only has a couple wars left in him, so if I don't go to the Oklahoma City one, I'm just literally going to wait out until they announce Gaethje's next fight, and then I'll probably go to that one. Hopefully it's not against Conor, because I don't want to pay that price, but who knows. Okay, anyways, enough talking on me. We're about 20 minutes in, so yeah, super excited for those fights. Let me know, which fight are you looking forward to more? Are you looking forward to Bryce Mitchell and Charles Rosa? Or are you looking forward to Ryan Hall and Ricardo Lamas? So thanks again for watching. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up, the old subscribe button. And I'm hoping to I want to do a video for the AFC fights that are this week. I know there's a Brazil card for UFC this weekend. I think there's a Bellator card as well. So I might do some videos on that and go from there. So thanks again for watching. Have a good night. Talk to you guys next time. Peace.